Hello everyone, this is the Zealot Feathers here playing Kerbal Space Program, and today I am very happy to present the episode 0 for my fan series, Crossover! So yeah, this is what I've been doing for the last few months. It's obviously taken a really long time to set up, but yeah, I'm really excited to actually start working on this, and yeah, I thought it'd be really fun if you can see what I've been up to for 6 months. So, a lot of this is going to center around going to Duna and a colony I have on Duna. So the first launch that you're seeing here is a science base I launched just for testing purposes. And that went really well. I've used the base on the moon and Nimnus before, and it did really well. And yeah, it's really equipped with a lot of Delta V, can fly really great, and it lands pretty good. The first time I managed to land a little fast, as you can see. You really shouldn't be getting flames when you're landing down on Duna. Yeah, if you're getting flames when you're landing on Duna, you better revert flight because you're going to die, as you can see here. So the second time I landed, it was really great, and I landed in a really cool spot with the craters there and those nice mountains. So yeah, that's going to be one of my bases, and I really loved that. So yeah, the second part of the mission was to send a larger group to Duna, and this time is going to be about 8 ships this time. So the first thing I decided to do is build some kind of frigate that I could use for defense over on Duna. And this frigate, the Muse as it's called, turned out to be really cool. It's heavily armored, and the torpedoes on the inside, there's actually 4 of those there instead of just 1. So I can fire from the nose, but have a wider area of damage on that. So that's really cool, and I really can't wait to start using this thing. It should be really great. The second thing I decided to do was launch some of my old legacy Astria craft, which worked very well when I was playing in versions previous. I had to reconstruct it because for some reason the ship file was crashing my game. But yeah, that turned out really great. And yeah, I thought it'd be great to have like an old legacy craft out there that's unarmored and, you know, it should be quite fun. So then, the next part I had to do, I had to launch a 3D printer, but unfortunately, I don't have the footage there because I lost it, so you're just gonna have to trust me that there is a 3D printer in orbit at this point by now. Then finally, I decided to launch the 2 remaining bases to Duna, and all of this, at least all the bases that is, will be part of the second colony I'm going to put down on Duna. Great, so once all of these were in orbit, I have 8 craft total, and decided to do 8 transfer burns to Duna, and as you can guess, this took a really long time. I mean, doing a transfer burn is not that difficult, it just takes a little bit, especially when you don't have a lot of thrust on your craft. So, yeah, turns out I did okay. So, for aero braking, I decided to go in at 15,000 meters. And I'm a little nervous about doing that because there was one time where I air braked a little bit too much and the entire craft went down in the tubes, and that didn't end very well, as you can guess. But if you're going in straight from an orbit and with no kind of bizarre orbit around Duna, 15,000 usually does pretty good. But you have to make sure that you're not actually correcting it once you get there, because if you correct it, you're going to correct it too much and then you die. But I managed to be out okay. Sometimes it didn't work very well. I wasn't quite certain why. Maybe the velocity I was coming in at wasn't that powerful, but yeah, whatever, worked out okay. And the good news is all the ships I had plenty of fuel left on them, so it all turned out fairly okay. Unfortunately, I actually missed one ship. When you're moving your entire fleet, one thing you have to keep in mind is that the ship that is furthest back from all the other ones is the one that's going to arrive soonest. But unfortunately, I had kind of forgotten about that, and the Lone Centurion, unfortunately, zipped right past Duna and is now currently still orbiting the sun. So, unfortunately, whoever's stuck in that craft is going to have a very long journey back to Duna or home, whatever I do. But I decided just to leave him out there and not bother because it was going to be another year before that happens, and I want stuff to happen in that year, so decided just to leave him out there and it'll all be okay. So unfortunately, he's going to be in space for a little while longer, but hey, it's Kerbal! we're in space for a really long time. Besides, they don't need to eat or anything like that. I don't have any life support mods on here, so that's good. Man, next time if I'm flying a fleet under a life support mod, better make sure about that. So yeah, whatever ship is the closest in your entire fleet, that's the one that's going to arrive first. So I decided to land a 3D printer first because that was the most unwieldy of all the craft. I actually forgot to put any kind of reaction wheels or RCS on the the ship, unfortunately. So yeah, it was just a little bit painful to move around. Now, unfortunately, my recording software also lost all of that footage of the actual landing. So you're just gonna have to trust me that once again, there's a landing up there. I don't know, it seems crazy. It's like, why is it the 3D printer always loses all of the footage? Is crazy. Anyway, I decided to land about 35 kilometers away from the other base. I'm probably going to kick myself for that because then I'm going to have to drive tanks 35 kilometers across Duna to do any storytelling things. And that's going to be just a little bit painful. So, yeah. But, you know, you're not going to experience any of that because I'll be editing all of it out. Unfortunately, that base location also proved to bite me later, because it's on a slope. So when I landed the first base, I of course landed off target because landing on Duna in a precision-like fashion is very difficult. I had to make some kind of hop to the base in order to, you know, get it near, because this is a colony, right? There's going to be bases near each other. Well, by landing on a slope, I eventually died a bunch of times. In fact, I actually reverted flight 8 times. I counted it 8 times. It was really, really tricky. And it's horrible about it is that the parachutes would not activate on the spacebar for some reason. I had to click on it manually, which was horrible. So yeah, that didn't work out very well. But hey, I got through it. So yeah, and the first base went down okay and landed in a very good location. I was really proud and happy about that. So the second base, by now I had probably learned my lesson about making sure I quick saved up in the atmosphere so that I can get a lot closer. And one time I actually got really, really, really close, and I would have done really awesome, but I once again landed on that darn slope and the entire thing exploded. Bummer. So I had to do what I did with the other craft, where I landed fairly close to the base and just tried hopping. But of course, I had thought about that a little bit earlier, and hey, maybe I could do that, but I was a little pig-headed and decided just to keep trying to get as close as possible, all the way down. And of course, it didn't work, so was forced to do the hopping thing. Oh boy. So, the hopping this time didn't turn out as well. Fortunately, I did manage to get close enough to the base, but when I was coming down in, right by the 3D printer, I had just barely run out of fuel. I was practically on fumes. That's how little fuel I had. So I just would burn a little bit, smash into the ground using my mad skills as Danny 2462, whatever it is, the other Kerbal channel is, using my mad skills, I managed to get it into the ground, and it was cockeyed. So I had 2 choices. One thing I could do, I could keep trying to revert flight and keep trying to land it safely, but that wasn't going to end very well because, like I said, I didn't have a lot of fuel. So instead, I decided just to leave it because, hey, it's okay, cockeyed ship. Maybe the dunes shifted or something like that. Whatever case, it just adds comedy, so I like that. And then finally, for the last preparation of the series, I had landed a bunch of tanks onto the Duna surface. Now, I was not going to do this the old-fashioned way. Why? Because it's incredibly difficult. Have you ever tried launching a bunch of vehicles to a single planet? Yeah, it's not that hard. I'm sorry, it's not that easy. One thing I tried to do was some kind of like tree branch system where there's a rocket in the middle, and then the vehicles branch out like branches around the center core. And that worked out very well as a ship design. The problem is, the ship I was building was so heavy that I couldn't keep it in orbit. And I really didn't want to have to do some kind of refueling mission where I had to refuel this thing and then, you know, fly it again. Because, you know, docking takes a really long time and I don't have a lot of time. So I decided that's it. I'm just going to say that all these tanks were printed by the 3D printer I have on Duna. So that's what I did. I hyper-edited the entire convoy of tanks to Duna. Now, I'm planning on probably putting like about 16 tanks on the surface, but unfortunately my frame rate was dropping really bad when I put the first convoy near the Duna base 4, since there's more ships there and the part count then really jumps. So yeah, frame rate really goes down, and I decided it's good enough. If I need more ships, I can warp it later. Then I warped the other convoy near the other colony, and that worked out really good. And I was pretty happy about that. So yeah, fortunately the frame rate was a lot better this time, so I could actually separate all the craft and warp it out. And after the last tank convoy landed down and I separated all the craft together and got the Kerbals out, planted a flag and stretched my legs and did all that awesome Kerbal-y stuff, I was done. After about, oh man, I don't know, 12 hours of gameplay. It was a really long time. Oh man, I'm finally glad to be done with that. But the good news is I have a nice little infrastructure here around Duna, so I can actually start making a lot of cool videos without a lot of setup, which is great. So yeah, the first episode of Crossover will come out a month or so maybe. I'm gonna be at a conference and on vacation within the next few weeks, so I won't be making any videos or newscasting fools. As you know, I try to do that once a week, so yeah. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make any videos for a little while, so I really don't know when the first episode of Crossover is going to come out. But yeah, be sure to check it out when it does. If you want more of these things, or you want to encourage me to keep making this, be sure to subscribe. Also, check out Spiritwolf Press. These guys are a bunch of Kerbal guys who want to keep the Macy Dean style of Kerbal videos going, since he actually hasn't posted anything in 10 months. So yeah, be sure to check them out. They're really awesome. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you want, and comment down below if you so feel inclined to do so. And that's going to be everything for today, folks. I am Zealot Feathers. Thank you for watching.